Welcome back, 3D students. In this video, we're going to adjust the vertex weights for our skinned character so that he'll deform properly when we pose him or animate him. Last video, we created these poses, or these movements, so that we could observe and adjust how the skin weights are working. Right now, not so much. It's very obvious here in the leg. So let's start there. To adjust skin weights, you come over here to the skin settings and you click this button, Edit Envelopes. And then you'll see each bone designated by these little marks here. And when you click on one, you'll see an envelope, and the vertices will be colored depending on how much influence they get. Blue would be the least and red would be the most. These envelopes can be moved. Let's see if I can get it to move here. Can be adjusted like so to adjust the vertex weights. And this is a quick and dirty way to do it. It's not the best way to do it. The other tools we have in here, and by the way, you can also select bones by clicking on them in the list here. The other tools we have here are right here in the weight properties group. Now we want to be able to adjust the weights by vertex if need be. So we need to be able to select vertices, and we can only do that if this box is checked right here. When it's checked and we select a vertex, we can see which bones influence that vertex. For example, here in the leg, you can see that when I move this leg, the vertices on this leg are moving, and that is obviously not correct. So the tools we can use to adjust this are right here. We have the Voxel Weight Solver, which we'll look at later. We have this Weight Tools dialog right here, which allows us to select a vertex and see which bones are influencing that vertex, and then we can assign a weight to that vertex or vertices. There is also a weight table where we can assign influence to a specific bone listed here at a specific vertex. Every vertex has a number here. And then we have the Paint Weights tool. When you click this button, you get a brush. And if you click these three dots right here, you'll get the brush settings. To paint weights, you need to adjust the max strength. I like to start with something weak, like maybe 0.3. or maybe even 0.03. And then you can also adjust the brush size by holding down Control and Shift and pushing the left mouse button and dragging. And you can adjust the brush strength by holding down Alt and Shift and moving your left and clicking your left mouse button and moving. When you select the bone, you have to turn off the brush to select the bone, but when you select the bone, and then you paint the weights, you're painting the weights for that bone. So to add weight for this bone, we would just simply click our left mouse button and paint. And you can see I'm adding weight here. To take weight away, you hold down Alt. It's not working very well because I have this box checked right here, Blend Weights. When I have this checked, it adjusts the weight blending between the bones that are already assigned. So I'm going to uncheck that box, and then we can hold down Alt, and I can take weight away from the bone that I have selected. And you can see that that's working very nicely. And you have to continue to paint. And it may also be another bone. So I'm going to select this bone next, and you can select them over here as well. This one appears to be the big problem right here. And notice that as I'm painting, it's changing the totals here. So I'm going to go to the left foot, which is the one it should be influenced by, and I'm going to add weight to that one. And that seems to be what I need to do. And there we go. Now we can also use the Voxel Solver. I'm going to turn these two off. Just very quickly, to use this weight tool here, you would select some vertices, and then you would select a bone and say these do not need to be influenced by the spine at all, so you would assign 0 to those from the spine. And you can see that there's still spine influence here and here. And that's how you use that weight table, or that weight tool. To use the Voxel Solver, what you do is you click these 3 dots here, and that brings up the Voxel Solver dialog. The fall off has to do with how the weights are, how softly the weights are blended in their zones here. The max influence has to do with how many bones influence the selected vertices. So let's, I'm going to select all the vertices on this foot, or this leg, and I'm going to grow that selection until I have the whole leg there. This max influence has to do with how many bones are going to influence the selected vertices. If it's 0, then the computer figures out how many bones are going to influence it. You can also clamp down how many bones, and we're going to do that in a minute. Let's change this to 64 to start. That's the lowest resolution. And I'm going to uncheck turn off envelope gizmos because I don't want those to go away. And then I'm going to click apply. And already you can see that something happened. So let's deform that leg and see if it works better. And it does. So let's add a bone or 2 here and click apply again. You can see that looks even better. Let's add 4 bones and click apply. And you can see that looks even better. Let's try 3. Let's change the fall off to 1. And you can clearly see the influence that that has. And I think I'm going to try changing the resolution to 128. And there you go. Now that does a lot of work for you. Let's try that with the arm here. I'm going to select this whole hand and grow that selection all the way up the arm, and go ahead and deform it. And let's try that. And you can see that looks pretty good. So this is a very good tool to use. What I would do is I would start out with this one, and then I would go in and adjust using the Paint Weights tool. I would adjust specific areas that need to be adjusted. Let's see if we can do the head real quick. I'm going to select some vertices here at the top and then grow the selection. Hold down Control and select some more. Okay, let's deform the head. Click apply. Ooh, that didn't work well at all. Let's change the influence to 1 bone. That didn't work well either. Let's try 2. So this is not working very well at all for the head. So then to do the head, what I would do is I would select the head bone, Sometimes they're hard to click. And then I would deform it, and I would bring up the Paint Weights tool. Sorry, wrong tool. And I would probably change the influence to something like 0.5, and then I would begin to paint weights for the head. And so that looks a whole lot better than it did. But clearly it still needs some work. And I think this is also a case where we can just simply turn this off. We can also select the envelope for the head and certainly adjust it and make it smaller. And then maybe I would turn the Paint Weights back on, change this to something much smaller, and then come back in and maybe hold down Alt and take some of that weight away, add some back, maybe select another bone, and take some weight away from that bone. I just selected the spine bone, so we're going to see what happens here. I'm going to try adding some weight to that bone. And let's try using the Blend Weights tool and crank this up to maybe something like very high, like 6. And that sort of softens up the influence of the selected bone. So this is a process, and it takes time. You just got to be patient with it. When we come back in the next video, I'll show you how to mirror the weights from one side of your mesh to the other. And I'll see you then.